This podcast has been brought to you by Podcast Nation.
You know, Kesha changed the words to that
She
song.
did, yeah.
Wake up in the morning, fuck P. Diddy, she says now.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's still catchy.
Is she?
Yeah.
That's so catchy.
It's still catchy. Kesha is catchy. Anyways, wow. It's terribly embarrassing. I wish I would never
Big
have said
Kesha
that.
fan.
Yeah, big Kesha fan. Oof, how do you recover from that? Anyways, best trip ever. Because of the 6-hour time change, I would wake up in the morning and answer emails. Answer emails.
Literally can't.
Yeah, I cannot say it.
Your eyes, hold on. Like,
Yeah.
Just don't wait.
honestly, when you said it, your face got so nervous.
Yeah, I was like,
Because you wanted to say it again.
Yeah, I
You were like, don't fucking say it.
Yeah.
I saw it. I
It did.
literally saw it in
Yeah,
your
that
face.
was a thought in my head
You're
that
like,
came out of
don't
my
do it,
face.
Ryan. It's
Yeah.
not the time.
Even the Botox wasn't hiding that fear. Wake up in the morning, answer
answering
my
emails.
emails.
We'll do it live. Fuck it.
You're listening to the Laughing Couple podcast with your hosts, Brittany and Ryan Ostafy. Join them weekly as they discuss topics such as relationships, kids, sex, parenting, all unfiltered and all with a healthy dose of laughter. Please welcome your hosts, Brittany and Ryan Ostafy.
I'll tell you what turned me off.
Jennifer
of it.
Lopez.
Yeah.
He doesn't like
Her
J-Lo.
performance is so good.
Yeah.
Can I just say
She's a
something about
great
Jennifer
actress.
Lopez?
People fucking hate her,
I
and
wish,
I feel so
she was
bad.
just an actress.
Yeah, I could see that.
I wish that she just remained an actress her whole career. Not that she gives a shit about what I have to say, but Jennifer
Wow, if
Lopez.
Ryan Ostafy.
Jennifer Lopez is a phenomenal
She's
actress.
a really good actress.
The problem is she's Jennifer Lopez. So you see Jennifer Lopez now as opposed to seeing this brilliant actress.
There's just so many cuts of her, and it sucks because I think social media, the way it is, people just like. There's one I think from her at the Met, and somebody says like, "Who are you wearing?" And she answers it. She doesn't smile, but she answers it. And if a man were to do that, and he would just say, you know, I'm wearing whatever without answering, he'd be like, "Oh my God, he's so mysterious." But they're like, she's a raging bitch. Like, it's so true. Like, you can answer it, and you don't have to. It's like when somebody says to a woman, "You should smile more." Go fuck yourself. Like, I hate when people say that.
Right,
It's
you gotta stop
true.
saying that.
What? Yeah, no. But like when a random man
People
comes
say
up,
it to me.
no, when
Ryan,
a
why are you so angry
No,
looking?
it's different when it goes to
I got
promise
Botox
you,
in my forehead just so that I didn't look so angry all the
I
time.
promise you, when it's said to a woman is like talking to a man and he says that to her, it's like condescending. It's like, why don't you smile more? Who are you to tell me that I need to smile more? Like, I'm not a bitch. Maybe I'm going through something. Maybe I'm doing something. I'm not here for your leisure to look pretty for you.
No.
Yeah, it's a big thing.
You what? Does this happen to you often?
It used to when I was young.
Yeah?
Yeah. And then I would always just go around like,
Like me? Like the Chandler Bing?
yeah.
Yeah.
And then I was like, ew, I don't care.
I've
but
known
no.
you for quite some time. I never knew that this was something that was like super.
Oh yeah, when I used to bartend for like 10 years.
People would say, "Hey, sweetheart, I want
Yeah,
a
they'd be
Michelob
like-
Ultra and smile a little bit
Yeah,
more."
why aren't you smiling?
Yeah, why don't you
Well,
smile a little bit
I've
more,
been
sweetheart?
working for 8 hours, getting hit on, moving kegs, my back hurts. I'm not going to sleep with you, so fuck off.
Yeah, well, if you're not gonna sleep with me, at least you can smile. Give me a little smile, yeah. See?
What kind of bar am I serving at? Like the 1940s?
Yeah. When you go into speakeasy, do you not kind of feel like you should talk like that?
I do for sure. But that is why. Like, it's just annoying. So never say that to a woman.
What was the speakeasy that we went into and you convinced me that an Aperol Spritz was code for water?
That was the
Yeah, New York. Yeah,
the
New York.
Campbell.
The Campbell. Yeah.
that was so
Brittany's like,
funny.
"Oh yeah, I'll have an Aperol Spritz," and I'm like, "Okay, cool." And you're like, "You know what that means?" I'm like, "No,
No, but it's because he gave me a
bartender-
water. He
that's
gave me a water
bartender code
first.
for water." I'm like, "Really?" Yeah. Whenever a girl's like really intoxicated and a guy orders her a drink, but she doesn't really want a drink, she asks for an Aperol Spritz, and I was
had him
fucking
going-
convinced
I had
that
him
that
going
was true.
for so long because he brought me a water.
Yeah, I'll have an Aperol Spritz, please. Oh, what the fuck is this? This is the worst water ever.
No, because he brought me a water and I played it out. And then finally he brought me the actual Aperol Spritz. And you were like, what the fuck is that? And I'm like, it's an Aperol Spritz.
This is why I don't trust you.
I'm just a really good
you're,
actress.
No, you're phenomenal.
I
you
really
and
am.
Riley, you say Riley's got her tells.
She does.
Yeah, she does not have
She
her tells.
does. Yes, she does.
She does not have her tells.
I know them all.
The only tell that she has is like she kind of like does this
No,
like
she doesn't.
smile.
I just know
And
her.
if I say, "Oh, you're lying," I could tell because you're laughing, and then she'll start laughing.
Yeah.
I'm like, she is. We had this conversation with some of the people we hung out with. We introduced the 30-second rule to our group, and we said that we allow our kids to lie to us.
It's not a lie
for
if
30
it's-
seconds.
Yeah, if you can say I'm just kidding or I pranked you, it's one of those
Yeah.
within 30 seconds.
See, because what happens in life is sometimes someone catches you off guard, and your immediate reaction is to lie to them. Like, you don't know why you lied to them, but you lied to them, and then you're stuck in this lie for the rest of your life. You got to hold on to that lie. So we give our kids a 30-second period
Grace
of time.
period.
You got 30 seconds. After 30 seconds, you better tell me the truth. Otherwise, that is your truth, and I'm going to remember it for the rest of my life. So you got to remember it for the rest of your life. 30 seconds. And we do the same thing. But you did not 30 seconds me with the Aperol
No, I
Spritz.
fully
Had
pranked
I
you.
not saw the second drink come to you that was an Aperol Spritz, I can guarantee you,
You would've went to
I would have
the bar.
ordered. I would have been like, I'll have an Aperol Spritz. yeah. I don't want to drink anymore. My friends are pressuring me to have another beer, but I just want an Aperol Spritz, please. Yeah, I 100% would have done that. You would have made me so embarrassed. They'd be like, that would be $18, sir, for water. For water.
And this like fancy,
I told you I don't want to drink.
oh my God.
Yeah, the super fancy thing that's like smoking
yeah,
up at the
yeah,
top.
100%.
Boy, Ryan, that's quite the drink. It's an Aperol Spritz, boys. Oh, God, this tastes like garbage.
I wish so bad that I just never.
I'm
went
so
back
glad
and
that
told
never
you.
happened to me
Oh my
because I
God.
can tell you confidently it's been a year since we were in New York. There's probably about 2 or 3 occasions in my life that I would have already used that.
Yes.
Well, I
Okay.
would have only done it once. I would have tasted it and realized that's not water.
Do we want to talk about the fallout, or do we want to talk from last week from the YouTube reel, or do we want to talk about Hawaii first?
Oh, the Fallout for sure. What's that band, the Fallout Boys?
Yeah.
I feel like that's us.
What?
I don't know why I want to talk like this for the rest of the podcast. Yeah, see?
Okay.
Let's talk about the Fallout of 63.
So we
Yeah,
had
see?
was it last week's episode or the week prior?
I have no clue because
even
I don't
know.
actually know where
This
I am right now.
6-hour time jet lag is absolutely bananas. You would think that 6 hours wouldn't mess you up this much, but it really does.
I would
it's
move to
fucked.
Hawaii like that
My brain is not working.
if it was the 3-hour time difference.
Mm.
Because if we were in the West Coast, California, you can still do a ton of business in the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
It is almost impossible. Waking up at 4 a.m.
Yeah, it's wild.
and still making people wait 3 hours to answer an email.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to happen. Hawaii, love you. I'll see you when I retire because
Yeah.
it's not going to happen for me. But yeah, the 6-hour time zone is not fun. Last night at 2:30 in the morning when I was staring at the ceiling thinking to myself, how am I going to fall asleep? And then realizing that I set my alarm for 6 a.m. to work out. And I thought, this is not going to be fun. But I'm going to wake up at 6 a.m. I'm going to work out. And by the end of the day, I'm going to be super tired. And then I'll just naturally fall asleep. And back to Eastern Standard Time, baby. Anyways, well, yeah, let's talk about the Fallout Boys.
Pretty.
Speaking of which, we'll come back to this podcast.
Call me Ryan coming up. Okay. So we had an episode, whatever week it was, and we talked about how we had sat down or the kids were getting ready for bed. They were about to go to bed, and Ryan and I had just taken a gummy. And Cooper was in front of us, and we're watching Bluey, and we like say something, and then I forgot Cooper was there. Not forget. That's what people were harping on me. Like I knew Cooper was
Well,
there.
you did use the word forget.
Yes, I understand. Anyways, and then we put him up to bed. But the backlash is people are very, very upset that we took an edible while our kids were home. And in one argument, I can see what they're saying. Like I can understand that people are hopefully coming from a good place and being like, what the fuck, it's your kids, blah, blah, blah. But I really wanted to enroll people in the conversation of the difference between taking or having 2 glasses of wine while your children are home, who I know a shit ton of parents who have a bottle of wine. What is the difference, pray tell? Because it's more like, I think edibles just aren't widely accepted everywhere. They're also not legal everywhere. So
That's a
maybe
big thing.
that's a big
That's
thing.
a
And
big
it's not
thing.
like we're smoking a joint. We took an edible. I took a 2.5. It's like the smallest amount. And the kids were going to bed. Ryan and I like to do this, and then we sit and we laugh and we giggle together. We're not going out and getting fucked up. We're not spending a shit ton of money. Our kids are home. We are together. Like, there are worse things. And some of the people in the comments were absolutely appalled, calling us horrible people. And then there are other people, which honestly made me laugh, because they were like, our fucking parents would be shit canned. Like, maybe not our parents. Like, my parents.
Shit canned.
My parents were never like shit faced, but they definitely hosted parties at their house where all of their friends would come, and they were all blitzed drunk, and all of the kids would play in the basement because that's what you did. But that's okay. Like, and it still happens. Like, we have parties here and all of the parents come and we're all drinking and the kids play. And then everyone gets home safely, whether that's an Uber, whether that's walking, because we all live close. But like, the difference of the treatment of people listening to a parent who does an edible as opposed to a parent who drinks 2 glasses of wine, because it would have been the same effect that it had on me.
Maybe less, actually.
Yeah, probably.
2.5 milligrams
Yeah.
versus 2 glasses
Yeah.
of wine. I'd say
It
is
was
way
like,
less.
it was just like, people are wild.
So, this is an interesting argument, because one person referred to, if there was ever an accident, you couldn't get your kids to the hospital. 2 things. Number one, yes, we could.
We'd call an ambulance.
But more importantly, we call an ambulance. So my brother-in-law, Pete, shout out Pete, happy 40th. He's a firefighter. And we had a conversation one time at their house because he wanted to get into it and we wanted to get into it, but the kids were there. And I thought, and by
should
get
we?
into it,
Yeah.
I mean, like, we were drinking.
Yeah.
And I said, one of us has got to stay.
Yeah.
One of us has got to stay sober, right? And he said, well, why is that? And I said, well, if there's ever an accident with the kids, one of us has to be able to get them to the hospital. He said, Ryan, whether you're stone sober or high as a kite or drunk as a skunk, always call an ambulance. The ambulance will start to actually save your child's life en
On the
route
way.
to the
Yeah.
hospital versus you getting to the hospital. They will get to you faster than you will get to the hospital, and they will start medical procedures on your child in the ambulance. He said, it does not matter what condition you are in. If your child needs medical assistance, always call 911. Always get an ambulance there. You can be in the back drunk or you can be in the back sober.
Yeah.
It is always a better option for you to call an ambulance than it is for you to drive your kids to school, to the hospital. And he said for 2 reasons. Number one, they'll treat them faster. Number two, when your kid is in a medical state, you are not in the kind of state that you should be driving in anyways. You're going to make poor decisions trying to get them to the hospital. You're going to run red lights. You're going to speed. There's a lot of things that you're going to
you're
do
frantic.
that you should not be doing behind the wheel when your kid is going through these things.
Right.
And so I just wanted to let everyone know that public service announcements, a little PSA. If something ever happens to your kids, call 911. Don't drive them to the
ambulance.
hospital. Call 911.
Call an ambulance. Yeah. And I think it's important to mention, like, we had the smallest amount of gummy. I think I could understand the argument if I was like, hey, I took a shit ton, which I never would because my brain does not allow me to do that. I get really anxious. But like, I would understand that, because being a parent with your kids home, whether they're like maybe not injured, but like just needing to parent and make responsible decisions. And we've said this before, like we've been at a party and like if we've come home, I can't, like I need to be lucid enough to parent. Like this was just a small amount of gummy, which would, like we said, equal to 2.5 glasses of wine. I just felt it wild how people came so hard for that. But in perspective, it would not be the same if it was alcohol. If we said, hey, we sat down and had a bottle of wine and Cooper was there, we watched Bluey and we kind of said something and we're like, oh shit, yeah, Cooper was right there. People would be like, ha ha ha.
Yes, there's a lot of people that came to our defense, and if you did come to our defense, I really appreciate it. One of the guys made some comment that was brilliant. He said, how many men, I'll generalize this, but how many men come home from work and crack open a beer?
Mm-hmm.
That's
and stop at one.
well, even if they stop at 1, stop at 2, it doesn't really matter. How
Yeah.
many men do that? How many women have a glass of wine at dinner?
Mm-hmm.
All of these things we think are socially acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's because a lot of our listeners are from the US and not at every state is marijuana acceptable. But your president, Mr. Biden, literally just decriminalized marijuana across the board. And if you're in jail for marijuana usage and or selling marijuana, you're now going to be pardoned from that crime. Because it was once a class 1 narcotic. It was like a gateway drug. They believed it was the gateway drug. And now they've recognized that it's not. In fact, it's way healthier for your body, way better for your mind, way better for all of your organs than alcohol is. Alcohol is literally poisoning you. And yet we're okay with that as a society.
Yeah, it's wild.
And I'm not suggesting that we should be okay with either of them. Let's be very
Yeah,
clear.
and let's be very clear. We don't do this all the
Do
time.
them all. But I'm not a drinker. I've never been a drinker. I'm not one that likes drinking. And after a really long day, especially with my headaches, it's really nice to grab 2.5 milligrams or 5 milligrams of a gummy and relax. Yes, we put our kids to bed. And yes, sometimes I like sitting on the couch and laughing with you and having a good time. I don't choose... I say I'm not a drinker, but if I do drink, I do prefer like rye as an example. For those in the US, that's a whiskey. I prefer that, but I'm not going to do that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. In fact, I'm probably not going to do that Saturday or Sunday. I'm not a big drinker. I don't like drinking, but I do like relaxing, and I do like not having a headache. And cannabis does that for me. And so I hope that in the next couple of years, people start recognizing it. You know, you look at my parents and you look at your parents. They grew up in an era where cannabis was, oh my God, cannabis. So if you're an older demographic and you hear that we took an edible before our kids fell asleep, that might be like alarming to you.
Sure.
But if you're our generation, you know, kind of I don't know, come on, man.
Come on. Okay, let's talk about Hawaii. Hawaii. It was, so we went to Honolulu, and it was like the craziest, longest trip because we were there for Riley's cheer. She did make the global games team, and she was against 7 countries. Anyways, she fucking won.
7 countries, yeah.
Her team won first place in her division for a global competition. It honestly is like, what the hell? And Riley's, we've talked about this before. She's so weird with winning. But I don't think she even realizes.
She's also sick.
Yeah, she is. But she was. But I don't think she realizes how incredible this is. Like, until she's older, like, I don't think she'll really understand the magnitude of this accomplishment.
She may never understand it. The only thing that she could ever understand is if her kid does it. Because I'll tell you, when the opening ceremonies come out, and it was so cool. So you think about like Hawaii, imagine Hawaii. You've got these palm trees, you've got the ocean, you've got the waves. There's this beautifully like manicured grass that all the parents are sitting at. And then all the way on the other side of the beach are like thousands of athletes with flags.
Not thousands.
Well, there's probably over 1,000. 100% there's over 1,000 people. There's over 100 people from Canada. Doesn't really matter. Call it 1,000 people.
Maybe. You might be right.
Either way. So you've got the British flag, the Australian flag, the American flag, the Japanese flag, the Chinese flag, the Canadian flag. Did I say the British flag? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you see these athletes coming in like it's the Olympics.
New Zealand?
And New Zealand was there, yeah. So you've got the person who's got the big flag, and then all of a sudden you have all of these athletes that are in the colors. To see our 10-year-old daughter in Team Canada a Team
really
Canada
cool.
outfit, walking with her peers, and then I was in tears. I was a mess. Mind you, they also were playing Over the Rainbow, which is a really sentimental song for me.
Right. It was like
The Hawaiian version. The Hawaiian version. Yeah. I'm like, I'm not prepared for this. But to just see them, to think, man, your daughter got selected to be on this team, to represent this country. In a global games in this setting, this is just like.
And what's even more impressive, and I will say, like, all of the athletes were incredible. We could only speak to like our levels because we didn't see the higher levels because it was a really long competition. All of them were amazing, But we found out while we were there, some of the teams that they were going against knew that they were going to be part of this competition back in the
November.
fall. No, yeah.
Yeah.
And they've been practicing to the point where they had special Hawaiian uniforms. They changed their music. So they had months and months of practice. And our girls had exactly 5 practices.
5 practices.
Not 5 months, 5 practices
Yeah.
of like a couple hours.
So when we came into the competition, we were pretty confident. And then when we found out that everybody had
We were
been
like,
practicing
oh,
for months
shit.
and months and months, we're like, oh,
And they were still,
this ain't happening.
this
for us.
isn't saying that, like, honestly, because I know people are going to be like, well, I know that. They were amazing.
Everyone was amazing.
They were incredible. This is just a testament to how hard the Canadian girls worked because they did not have the luxury of.
Now you say 5 practices, but keep in mind those were like 3.5.
Oh God,
4
they
hours.
were.
There was a 5-hour practice that was thrown.
They were
in there.
grilling them, but again, like it's so impressive because keep in mind all of the athletes also just went through nationals. Like they just had nationals.
Yeah.
So in Canada, they won nationals, and then they had to now figure out a new routine, which is just it's amazing. I'm so proud of them. So we were there for cheer, and for the first kind of quarter of the trip was obviously all cheer because we had practices, and then we had obviously the 2 competition days. There was a lot of friggin' rain. At first,
Oh my
we
God.
did not realize how much it rained, and apparently it's
Hawaii was
normal.
not prepared for that much rain.
No,
they
no.
were not prepared for that much rain. The sewer systems. And now I'm not a civil engineer, but when the top of the sewer is literally lifting off of its bearings,
Oh my God,
and
it was
popping up and popping
wild.
down as water spurting out of it, you think that's full. I think that's full.
It was wild. It was
Not
wild.
sure. I'm not one for like hydra something pressure. I don't even know the word, but that seems full to me.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought, is that thing
And
going
we
to just
didn't-
fucking explode?
We didn't. It did look
I'm
like
like,
it.
I don't. We should get away from that thing.
I'm gonna send you the video
Yeah.
so you can put it in here.
It was like a frog, like blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah. I don't even frogs don't even make that noise, but it was an animal that makes a noise like that.
100%. Yeah. But yeah, we thought it was gonna be like, a really hot climate and humid climate. It rains and then it stops. No, for like 3 days, it was like we are just seeing rain. It did work out because the girls were in competition and training, so it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah, 2 of the 3 days that it rained,
Right. But
like
we
tropical
had
storm rain. We were inside.
we did go to
bananas.
Diamond Head to hike up Diamond Head on the day that it was pissing. We thought it would stop. It wasn't. We literally had to leave because it flooded.
You shut her down.
However, I did get to hike Diamond Head later with Kristen, and she gave me permission to share this story. I already told you.
Yeah, this is a good story.
So
I will listen again as if I've
we
never heard it.
are we're climbing Diamond
That's a
Head,
fake
and
laugh.
it's early in the morning, but it's hot as tits. Like it's so hot, we're already sweating. The mountain itself is not like, it's not a hard climb. It just, there's like difficult areas because the terrain gets a little like
You got up and
rough.
down it in an hour.
Yeah, it's not hard. It's not hard. Like it's just, you will sweat. Like it's obviously on an incline when you're climbing up a
Sweat,
mountain.
wet.
So because
Gotta
it
go like a turbo
was,
vet. I'm tired of magazines. That's other thing. Anyway, go ahead.
yeah, Jesus. So because it was super hot out,
Call me Ryan.
Kristen and I were already sweating so much. So on the way back, we were talking about deodorant. And she was like, "Oh, I use Lumi." And I was like,
No, she said.
"Yeah." She said, "I use Lume." And I said, "Actually, it's Lumi."
Lumi.
Because we
Hashtag
Lumi
sponsored.
sponsored us.
Yeah.
Anyways, we love Lumi. And I'm like, I love Lumi. I brought it to Hawaii. And she's like, yeah. She's like, it's my absolute favorite. Because it can go everywhere. And I'm like, yeah. And so then she's walking, and this guy comes walking past her. And as she's walking past him, I don't know if she like blanked out. She's walking and she says, "Yeah, I really love it in my ass." And I fucking keeled over because she looked behind, and the guy was like secretly intrigued. I'm like, "What?" She's like, "Like the deodorant. I love it in my like I love it in." And I was like, "You're done." Like I was crying, laughing. Like we had to take a moment to stop because we were also both just so dehydrated, sweating, and it just happened in the most perfect way that I was like, even if you said like I like to use it like on my butt. She was like, no, I love it in my ass. And I was like, okay.
It is a perfect
Love
TMI.
It's great.
It is
great
really
for
good for chafing.
It's so
like
good.
if you do put it in
Put
your
it
ass,
right in
it
my
works
ass.
really well.
So good.
And especially underneath your chota,
Yeah.
between your ass and your balls, like the chota
that's
area.
really-
I'm chota
that's
boy.
A
Remember
lot
that
of
movie?
information.
You remember that? I'm chota boy.
No, I
What a
don't.
great movie.
I have no idea what you're talking
What was
about.
that? That was the South Park guys. They made the movie where he was a porn star.
I don't know.
Anyways, you remember that movie? Where he's a porn star and they always had to bring in the penis replacement because he was a virgin. He was like a Mormon.
Who's the actor?
The guy from South Park, one of the writers in South Park, the blonde guy. He was a porn star. He was a superhero, and his sidekick was a guy called Chota Boy.
Okay. Doesn't
I'm
matter.
Chota Boy. Anyways.
Lumi is so good in your ass.
Anyways, it's good in your ass. So
never gonna
we're
air
in
this.
Hawaii, and I didn't realize how Canadian we were until we were in Hawaii. The people that we were with were so Canadian. I'm going to show you how Canadian they
Okay.
were. So we were with Kristen and her father, who went by Papa P, right? Papa P. P is in the letter P.
Like that's what Leighton, Kristen's
And
daughter,
P
calls him,
because his
probably.
name is Paul. Early on, I heard Papa Pete. So I referred to him for the first 4 days as Pete.
Probably more. Hey, Pete.
Not once did he say, my name's not Pete. Not once. In fact, I told Chantel, which is
And
funny in a
also,
sec.
Hold on, you also called him
Oh, no.
Phil.
I called him Phil. Yeah. When I realized his
Like,
name wasn't Pete,
You're like, oh, maybe it's Phil.
yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like, his name's not Pete. Oh yeah, his name's not Pete. It's Phil. Brittany's like, his name's Paul. No, it's Phil. Anyways, so I was 4 days with Pete, 2 days with Phil. His name is Paul.
and then
And not once did he correct me. Not once did we correct me. We're sitting up top in one of the rainy days, a bunch of us adults, and we're talking.
God.
And he's sitting beside Chantel. And Chantel's mother is right to the left.
yeah, and Chantel's like one of our good friends.
I've known
Her daughter-
Chantel for 2 years.
Yeah.
Our daughter's best friend.
Yeah.
And so Chantel's talking to Papa Pete. And she
Papa Pete.
No, Papa Pete. Because she's calling him Papa Pete. And Chantel's
she is?
mom is saying his name's not Pete. And she's like, yes, it is. It's Papa Pete. Anyways, they go
You're
back
like,
and forth.
It's Phil.
And so Chantel eventually says to Paul, my name is actually not Chantel. Because he's been calling her Chantel. My name is actually Chantel. And I'm sitting over here listening to the conversation. And I'm like,
What the fuck?
what the fuck? I'm like, your name's Chantel? She's like, yeah. I'm like, Chantel, I have been calling you Chantel for 2 fucking years.
Yeah, and she never
And you've
corrected
never
him.
once corrected me. She's like, well, I just didn't want to.
Everyone does it.
And, you know, everyone does it. I just don't want it to feel awkward. I'm like, if you called me Brian once, I would be like,
It's Ryan.
respectfully, don't fucking call me Brian.
Yeah.
It's Ryan.
Yeah.
She allowed me to call
I
her
know.
Chantel for 2 years.
I know.
2
Which
years.
is weird because you've heard her husband Mark say like Chantel. Did you just think he had like an accent?
I don't know, but I had a boss.
Chantel.
I had a boss. His name was Terry Carter, and he hired me. Great guy. Terry was his name. And about a year and a half into my relationship with Terry, his wife Brenda came into the office, and her and I were talking, and she had said something, and she referred to Terry as Perry. And I looked at her and I thought, that's strange. Whatever.
She doesn't even know her husband's name.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, Brenda. Brenda might have had a gummy. And I'm thinking, okay, no problem, whatever. And then she referred to him as Perry again. And I said to her, I'm like, Brenda, are you referring to like your husband? She's like, yeah. I'm like, why do you keep calling him Perry? She's like, because that's his name. I'm like, his name's Perry? She's like, yeah. I'm like, I've worked here for over a year. I thought his name was Terry. She's like, everyone calls him Terry. I'm like, why? She's like, because he just doesn't correct people.
I still didn't know that.
His name's Perry Carter.
Oh.
He's like everybody in Cambridge, Kitchener, Waterloo, Guelph. He's a very popular individual. A lot of people know him. Nobody knows him as Perry Carter. His name is Perry. His name's Perry.
Poor Perry.
We are so Canadian, it's not even funny. So
know.
Phil, Paul, and Pete,
Chantel.
same person. Phil, Paul, and
Chantel.
Pete. I've never heard someone say sorry more in my life.
Yeah, he's
And everyone will be like, you guys are from Canada? How'd
Yeah.
you know? Sorry.
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 I know.
Sorry.
It's so nice.
He's so nice.
Apologetic always.
Like he'd reach for his cup, which would be beside me. He'd say, oh, sorry. I'm like,
For what?
for what? He's like, well, I just didn't know if I was in your
your
way. I'm
bubble.
like, nope. No, we're good. No,
So
we're good.
nice. We had such a good time.
Yeah, great time. Great people. Canadian, eh?
Yes, and we stayed in Honolulu. A lot of recommendations to stay either on the Big Island next time or Maui, just to get more of the Hawaiian feel. Like Honolulu was Hawaii with a big city. Still stunning. Like the ocean, the lagoon was so beautiful. But once we got out into the island with the car to like the North Shore, that was like true Hawaii.
That felt like
And we were
Hawaii.
like, oh my God. Oh, I wrote this down. So I was talking about it all week about how your body goes into a certain state when you're around water, because I saw something about this and I was like, I could not remember what it was. I found it. Yeah.
Burge.
Submerge?
Okay. So it's called when we
Submerge?
no
Submerge.
Submerged.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Okay. That makes way more sense than submerged.
No. So when we are near water, our brains enter a semi-meditative state known as drifting. Drifting is a special form of attention where we are engaged with the world around us, but not focused on getting something done.
I love it.
Right? I'm like, that is so true. Today, I was drifting when I was listening to the rain in the car.
Yeah.
I sat in the car.
I'm like, are you okay, Brittany? I'm just listening to the rain. I'm like, are you okay, Brittany?
You're like, are you depressed? And I was like,
Yeah.
just listening to some Hillary Duff. Let the rain fall down and wash my... Anyways, I loved that. And it really was. Like, when you were around water...
I want to feel the thunder. I want to feel the rain. Big Hillary Duff fan.
Super nice.
I didn't realize how much I liked her until that moment.
You actually don't, because
I
when you
do.
came in, you were like, oh yeah, I know that song. Let it rain on me. And I was like, what the fuck are you
And
singing?
wash away.
And then you were like, I'm singing a Hillary Duff song. And I was like, no, the fuck you are not.
I just got the beat wrong.
And the melody.
I do that often, as we know.
And the melody and the
as
words.
we know. Yeah. So
Submerge.
I grew up. I shouldn't say I grew up. I lived in Barrie for the first 8 years of my life, and Georgian Bay is right. It's off of Barrie, so we always had water. Always had water accessible to us. My grandparents had a cottage. I say cottage. They had a trailer that my uncle took over. We had a boat. We had a sea-doo. I love being near water. And it's not until you're away from water and then go back to water that you realize how calming water is. This trip was the best trip I've ever been on in my entire life.
Yeah, it was so good.
Because of the 6-hour time change,
You really were forced not to work.
it was
You
almost
couldn't.
impossible
You
to
couldn't
work. I'd wake up in the morning feeling like P. Diddy. Not good right now. Oh. You know, Kesha changed the words to that
She
song.
did, yeah.
Wake up in the morning, fuck P. Diddy, she says now.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's still catchy. Yeah.
That's so catchy.
It's still catchy. Kesha is catchy. Anyways, wow. It's terribly embarrassing. I wish I would never
Big
have said
Kesha
that.
fan.
Yeah, big Kesha fan. Oof, how do you recover from that? Anyways, best trip ever. Because of the 6-hour time change, I would wake up in the morning and answer emails. Answer emails.
Literally can't.
Yeah, I cannot say it.
Your eyes, hold on. Like,
Yeah.
Just don't wait.
honestly, when you said it, your face got so nervous.
Yeah, I was like,
Because you wanted to say it again.
Yeah, I did.
You were like, don't fucking say it.
Yeah.
I saw it. I
It did.
literally saw it in
Yeah,
your
that was a
face.
thought in my head
You're
that
like,
came out of
don't
my
do
face.
it, Ryan. It's
Yeah.
not the time.
Even the Botox wasn't hiding that fear. Wake up in the morning, answer my emails. So I answer my emails, but by like 9-10 o'clock, I got nothing else to do. Like, work's done. Everyone else here is done working.
Yeah.
And so I was able to turn my phone off, be in the pool, be in the ocean, be with nature, but more importantly, be with my kids.
Yeah.
And I felt like a kid again.
It was awesome.
It was so cool. The last day we didn't go to North Shore. Where did we go?
We went to Kauai Beach.
Like Kawhi Leonard?
Beach? No, I forget. I think it's Kauai Beach. Anyways.
Game 7.
I will say, when you were in the water, we went in the water a lot and it was so lovely. The waves were amazing. But at one point, I was filming you guys in the water and Papa Pete, Paul, Phil was beside me. And he was like, actually, no, this was at the one day after the Kahlua Ranch when those waves were insane.
Those
and you were
waves
with
were
Cooper. They
dangerous.
were wild. But he
Amazing
did
for
say,
adults.
he was like,
Dangerous for kids.
he was like, he is so good with the kids. And I'm like, I know, he's amazing. He's like, even with, because we brought, like Adeline was there and then Kendall came in and you were just like making sure everybody was safe and alive. But like fun. And he was just like, he's such a good dad. And I was like, yeah, he's okay. But no, I was praising you. I was like, yeah, he is
thanks.
incredible. And I did say, like, he always says he's the best version of himself when he's in the water. And you really are.
Because I'm submerged.
You really are.
Submerged. What's the word?
Drifting.
Drifting. I was drifting.
You're
That's
just out in the ocean. The kids are like,
Dad! Not today, son. Not
anyways.
today. The last day
Last day was so nice.
The last day, the waves were good. They were decent waves. And I grew up.
And they were safe.
I grew up with my parents, obviously. My parents used to take us to Myrtle Beach every year. Now, as a kid, you feel like super privileged. You're going to Myrtle Beach. I didn't recognize, and kids don't recognize these things. A trip is a trip is a trip. Ocean is an ocean is an ocean. You don't have to fly to Hawaii to enjoy the ocean. You can go anywhere. We used to go to Myrtle Beach, and the reason we went to Myrtle Beach is because my Aunt Sharon lived in Myrtle Beach, and my parents were allowed to live in her house for 2 weeks. So here we're thinking Beverly Hills 90210. Oh, I'm Brendan, you know what I mean? And we were just living at my aunt's house for 2 weeks. Anyways, we used to, as kids, we would ride the waves. We would boogie board, but we would also body surf. And they're the greatest memories of my life, hanging out with my two sisters, jumping in the waves. The odd time my dad, when he wasn't tanning, would come in. My mom, same thing. My dad is a professional tanner.
Oh my God.
My dad will set his feet up in a way. He'll carve out the sand, put his feet this way, and then he'll bring his hands this way, carve out his hands so that every part of his body's tanned perfectly. And he will lay there for hours. My dad loves tanning. He is a tanning machine. He's like David Hasselhoff when he's tanning. Anyways, long story short, loved it. Getting to play with the kids in the waves, we would do this thing. So if you watch Dragon Ball Z, there's like this Kamehameha, and then he like jumps out this massive blast of energy. Leave me alone. I like Dragon Ball Z. Whatever. It is what it is. Anime. It doesn't make me uncool, just for the record. Actually, in fact, I think it makes me cooler.
So cool.
Because I can relate to people who like anime. Anyways, so the wave would come and we'd wait for these big waves. And I'd say, okay, guys, here comes a big wave. And they would go, Kame, Ame. And then the wave would go past them and it would break right at me. And then I would take the wave and it would send me like 20 feet gone. So it'd be like they threw a blaster at me. I'd be like, oh. And then as I would be like running back to them, if another wave would come, they would do it again. And now I'm running at them. So instead of getting blasted by them, I get hit by the wave.
Yeah.
And I do like a flip, like a somersault flip. I felt like such a kid playing with them. I got burnt, which...
Oh, you're pretty good. You've gotten worse.
Yeah, I got way worse. But my God, I would encourage anyone who is feeling disconnected to their kids to spend one day at a beach with them.
Drifting.
Just drift. Spend one day at a beach, 2 days preferably, so that you can relax yourselves. Turn your phone off. Don't even bring your phone.
Yeah.
And just play with your kids. I feel like that's just been missing for me. And our kids were just so amazing.
Yeah, they were
on
fabulous.
this trip.
And it just goes back to like the whole idea of like your kids don't need or actually want things. They just want to spend time with you.
When we were leaving Hawaii, like, we're in the ocean. Cooper said, "Dad, do we have to go tomorrow?" I said, "Yeah." He's like,
"Can we just miss
the flight and take the next one?"
Me. I would have
just take the next one. And I'm like, "No, Coop, we can't do that." And Riley's like, "Dad, can we just stay in Hawaii for a couple more days?" And I will say we've done a lot of trips with our kids. We've been very blessed to do trips with our kids in the last couple of years post-COVID. I think we made up for a lot of the missed time with COVID. We also planned 2 trips in COVID that then became trips, compounded on top of it. So anyways, but this was the one trip that I can say, because of the 6-hour time change, I had to turn my phone off.
Yeah.
And I got to be with the kids. And when they said, "Can we just stay?" I knew it wasn't Hawaii that they wanted to stay. It wasn't Hawaii. Hawaii's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. If you can go to Hawaii, we did not plan to go to Hawaii, and we probably will not be going to Hawaii for a long time.
Yeah.
But because of Riley's trip, we went. Man, oh man, if you can just spend that time with your kids. They just didn't want to leave that. That's what they didn't want to leave. They didn't want to leave mom and dad in the water playing with them for hours on end.
It was awesome.
It's incredible. What an incredible trip. And Hawaii, by the way, is breathtakingly beautiful.
And you're super blonde now.
Yeah, I got my blonde hair back. You know, this thing about my blonde hair is really cool because the kids make fun of me because they say I'm not blonde anymore, and they're fucking wrong. I am blonde. I just don't see the sun enough. Yeah. No, your dad, I'm like, I'm dirty blonde. No, you're brown. I'm like, first of all, there's nothing wrong with brown hair, and second of all, I'm fucking blonde. Just give me some light.
You look really blonde right now.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
And I said, like, we were there. I'm like, third day, I'm like, Brett, it's coming back.
Look at my blonde.
Brett, it's coming back. And then fourth day, I'm like, Brittany, I'm like 2 days away from my eyebrows disappearing. It's going to be amazing.
They're gone.
They're gone. They're gone. You can't even see them anymore. That's how blonde I am. My fucking kids.
All right.
Love you guys. Anyways, are we done? Yeah. You want to talk? You want to say something before we leave?
You can end it. Love you.
There goes a sight from my soul.